Hello, everybody, and welcome to Punch Kick Choke Chat. I'm not sure you watched the order of these, but you're going to notice two of them are identical. Um, the backgrounds and the clothing, but uh, we'll let you detective that one. I'm here today with Suino Sensei, my Iaido teacher and friend, and just martial arts advisor, co-conspirator in a lot of these events and things that we do. Um, the two of us are hosts of Punch Kick Choke Chat, and you'll notice that Sean Benson and Sensei Legacy are not here. We try and do these micros sometimes, and while Suino Sensei and I do the lion's share of them, we've done them with Robert, and don't be surprised if, all of a sudden you see Sean with Sensei Legacy and Suino Sensei and I aren't here. Um, these are really topic based where we just dig into something, talk about some successes or some thoughts that we have. And so today we're going to talk about an event that Sensei Suino came up with that he's allowed me to become a major part of, which is the Crucible. And I'm going to let Sensei Suino say hi and frame that up.
Hey, Randy, great to see you. If you guys don't know, this is Kyoshi Randy Dauphin. And as he said, we are co-conspirators. We've trained together well over 30 years. And pretty much since COVID, we've started doing a lot of work with seminars and special events and everything else. Built up a much bigger audience. And I'm happy to say that we've gotten a lot of great feedback. People like training with our events. They're high energy, their martial arts, their fitness, their mindset. They're very supportive events. We talked recently about Practical Fighting Camp. This is kind of the granddaddy of the special events. This is the JMAC Crucible. And when people say, well, what's the JMAC Crucible? I say it's a 12-hour lockdown event where you agree to show up at 6 a.m. and stay till 6 p.m. and not leave unless it's in an ambulance. And people are always like, oh, what? So then I followed up with, if you think you can't do it, you're wrong. But if you think it's going to be easy, you're also wrong. And so it's an event that's supposed to make you go, huh? And then you go, I don't know if I can do that. And then you go, but you know what? I'd like to try. And then once you do it, man, it can be remarkably powerful in terms of empowering people to recognize that they can do something really hard for a really long time and then come out of it at the end, tired, of course, but with a lot of motivation, a lot of learning, a lot of new friends, etc. I'll circle back to some other stuff, but what did I leave out in that description, Randy?
I guess just the event itself, I think you build it exactly as it is. I would say it's a marathon event, not a sprint. While there are some moments of sprinting in the event, they're they're followed by times of recovery. I think one of the keys to the event is you're always engaged, both mentally and physically. We give you very little time to like actually sag. It's just like I think we have the timing of the event almost like dialed into perfection because it's one of the things that people always say is, man, I didn't really get super tired, like sleepy tired, like I thought. Like I didn't, and the time every time I looked at the clock, like 2 more hours had gone by. We get that feedback all the time. Um, yeah, and high energy, it's not the time to, you're not going to learn all kinds of stuff because you'll do lots of stuff. That's what I would say. You're going to do lots of stuff, and some of it might stick. But if you go in thinking, I'm going to learn every single thing in this 12-hour period, that it's an immersive experience. That's not what it's really about, in my opinion.
I love that word immersive. That's really the goal, right? You step in there, you're apprehensive, you're sleepy, you start doing stuff, and all of a sudden you're just going and going and going and going and going. You come out of it, then you have months to process it and go on from there. You know, we did the first one in 2011.
I didn't go to that one.
I
Damn
know
it.
that's the only one I think you've missed, right?
Only one.
Um, but I don't know how many we've done, since then. Dozen, 15, I don't know. We've done a lot of them. We've done a few years where we've done two a year. We did one that was overnight. We started at 6 p.m. and went to 6 a.m. We had one during a giant power
Ice,
outage.
ice
So
storm.
it was dark during the ice storm, and no heat.
Infestation of bees.
Oh, we had one with bees where a few of us got stung. I mean, it's been crazy. But just so people know, so right, 12 hours, right? That's a long time and yet kind of not a long time. But broadly speaking, there's three parts to the crucible. The first part is striking and stand up, right? Striking and kicking. Second part is clinching and then throws and takedowns. And the third part is on the ground, groundwork. It's not really self-defense. It's not really competition. It's really just exposing you to all those different modalities. So we have really high level folks come in and work with us with karate um, and kickboxing. Those are the primary modalities with stand up. I sometimes we do a segment on my flywheel. You see the book right there on my flywheel principles, using the hips for power generation. But that first 4 hours is based on punching, kicking, that kind of stuff. And we also do some rounds. We have some usually have some pretty good stand up folks, strikers there. And then the second 4 hours, um, throws and takedowns. So we'll have somebody with a background in wrestling. We'll have some judo, that kind of thing. And we try to make it safe so that even if you don't have a great background in taking ukemi or big falls for judo, you can still train. Um, and then the last one, as I said, is groundwork, and that'll be judo groundwork. That'll be some wrestling or catch wrestling, and a lot of BJJ these days. And we'll have rounds there. And usually the last hour, hour and a half is free rolling, 3-minute rounds or something like that. And there's a couple reasons, three reasons that I can think of. I'm sure there's a lot more. One is it's safe because you're not falling. Two is it kind of puts everything together. You're in that flow state, you're exhausted, and that's a really safe and comfortable place to just to move and groove, right? As the world famous I am Will Starks like to say. And the last one is, free rolling when you're tired and sweaty puts a smile on everybody's face. So it's a great way to kind of bring the whole thing together.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, we do some fit. Did you say fitness? Because we do a
I
little
did
bit
not
of,
mention that yet.
yeah. So we do some recovery where we do your modality, the JMAC 18, 3 or 4 times, usually through the day. It's not always, sometimes in the beginning, it's usually like if you like, you let Mancini run it, then it's going to be like all the judo warm-ups. So you're going to be doing all kinds of shrimping and body movement stuff. And then eventually, when say Sydney or Cheyenne takes over to do one, it'll be very recovery based with some breathing and some stretching, moving those muscles out. Um, yeah,
Yeah. And yeah, breathing, mindset. Um, we kind of the curriculum varies, but sometimes we get real deep into mindset and positive thinking and try not to get too far down the mysticism path. It's a pretty practical event, but how you think about what you do is really an important component of it. And maybe for
yeah.
some people, that's not a big deal, but for some people, right, they're in their own way. And so some mindset stuff, just because, part of it is I can't do a 12-hour event, and then they do a 12-hour event. And part of it is every time I do this, I'm scared to do it, or I'm always thinking about reasons not to do something. So that mindset stuff helps with that. Um, and just like martial arts practice, you're working on striking, and someone's there who's been striking for 30 years, and they're like, well, I've been doing striking for 30 years, but I can take one or two things away from this. So if you're a
Hmm.
confident, outgoing person with not too many internal issues, then you just try to take one, two, but if, one or two things from it. But if you're just learning to strike and it's like, oh, I got 5 really good things to build my striking. It's the same thing up here. I got 5 good strategies to keep myself in a positive mind space. All that stuff comes together. And the number of people over the years that have come to me and said, "Oh, this is one thing that happened at the Crucible that was life
Right,
changing." I mean, that is
right.
some powerful stuff.
Yeah, because in a 12-hour period, you're not, it's, listen, not okay. We're billing it that everybody can do it, but not everybody does do it, and we have had people not finish, right? Like,
Hmm.
um, and we're really good at like helping people. Like, so for example, hey, you're going a little too hard. It's hour two. Maybe pace yourself a little bit. Like, let's slow down here a bit, right? Like, don't run from that station to that station. Walk at a brisk pace, right? Like stuff
Hmm.
like that. But that one guy just couldn't make it in the end because he just wouldn't listen. He just had to try and do every single thing so hard. Didn't make it.
Yeah.
He just
And also,
disappeared.
right, he just disappeared. Like some people quit. You don't get
Challenge coin.
a challenge coin if you quit. And you got to live with that. We try everything in our power to help you get through the hard times so you don't quit. So that example you just raised, this guy
Yeah.
would not listen. He was fighting hard, and he got burnt and he just varmoosed at an opportune moment. And I hate to see people quit, but you know what? It probably made sense, right? I think he was in denial about reality. And so because of that, he was only wrong 100% of the time. Um, but then, one of the guys from Canada came down and he struggled, right? He's a little bit of an older guy. He hit a wall and it was really, really hard for him to get back in there. He was cramping and just all kinds of I think most people would have quit at that point. He wanted to quit, but we kept giving him support and he finally got himself back in there and made
He
it
even
through to
did
the
rounds
end,
of fighting right at the end.
right?
I think he rolled with Sydney and a couple people really kept him safe. And
Yeah. And not only was that yeah, that's great, you're strong, but it was also a heartfelt moment because that was really hard for him emotionally.
Mhm.
And I think those two things go together. So that's an example of a struggle and a failure and a struggle and a success. And those kind of things, man. That's why we call it the crucible. You're coming out a different person.
Yeah, intense pressure creates change. A couple of other
Hmm.
things to kind of think about is we do bring in buckets, branded buckets for people because some people throw up. Um, and I know we're not billing this as those people who these things have happened to, they're repeat customers. So a person like Andrew Percival who like he loves his bucket that he threw up and got. You get to keep that bucket, by the way, if you throw up in it. We don't want it back. But he loves that he has that bucket. He's been to like 3 crucibles, right? Like these people, Ron wants to come back to a crucible. Like these people, he knows now. Once you do it, they're like, okay, if I just tweak this and this, I'll be able to do it better the next time, safer the next time. I'll be able to help some people the next time. I would say of all the ones we've done, it's now turned into more than half have done more than one. When they come, more than half of the people have done more than one. And I would say like the top 20% have done like 4 or 5. And if they're not doing it, it's because there's some family event that's keeping them away from this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they see the value. It becomes an immersive experience. The lifetime friendships you build on this and the memories. One of the points I make in this early on, and that's it. I don't know if I do a good job of explaining it, but here, listen, experiences live different in memory than they do in the moment. And that's so important for people who struggle with stuff because sometimes in the moment you're just like, oh, this is trivial, I'm just doing it. Or sometimes this sucks. Right? But you don't know how that's going to feel for you in a week or in a month. And since we've done this so many times, we kind of know how to tailor the experience so that your memories of the experience are going to be very powerful. They're going to help drive you to new gains, both in terms of your evolution as a human being and your evolution as a martial artist. And so, if you have a little faith in us, and I don't know how many 300 people now do or whatever who've been to these, um, it's going to pay off. It's going to pay off. You're going to remember these in ways, and you're going to be able to utilize that as a battery or a well of emotional reserve that'll get you through hard times, make you recognize that you got to suck at stuff before you're going to be good at it. You're going to recognize that in the moment things may not be appealing. You're not going to be in love with it now, but in 3 weeks, in a month, in 3 months, you're going to go, you know what? I'm really glad I gutted that out because now I've got the benefit of it that I wouldn't have gotten if I didn't do it.
Yeah. And the people who get the benefit from that, Suna said, say, it's not like you, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I'm a yellow belt and or I'm a multi-time world kickboxing champion. We've had both of those things, and both of those, whether they were like Ben Ledesur or Kyoshi Doug Knispel, like they left elated. These people are high-level martial artists with hundreds of students who've been in the game for a long time, to like a person like Abel. That motherfucker, man, like his family signed him up for this. He had no martial arts experience, zero, none. His family signed him up because his doctor told him he needed more physical exercise. He did that whole 12 hours. Everybody helped him. Was he great at everything? He is as good as he could be for all 12 hours. So, with a world champion kickboxer, never did martial arts before, both of them got all the way through it. Both of them said it was super hard. Both of them said it was changing for them and it helped them. So
Yeah.
if you're
And
listening, you should get your ass in there.
Yep. And that's a great example of two people that were very robust, strong individuals, right? And you could look at them conceivably and go, yeah, it's going to be hard, but they could do it. But also, one of our dear friends now, Sarah, started, and
Right?
Sarah's got some challenges, right? A lot of people would never even think of doing something like this. She hadn't even studied martial arts when she did this, her first Crucible. She
Hmm.
came in, I don't know how, I don't remember how she found out about it, but she came in, signed up for the Crucible, gutted it out, cried for 12 hours straight,
Right.
right? Was wrecked by the end. The next week, she came in and signed up for classes at JMAC. And now she's been with us 3 or 4 years, right? And still has a lot of struggle, a lot of physical struggles just because, long and very interesting life. But that lady has proven you don't have to be, gifted with a incredibly athletic body or a happy, gilded life to be able to gut through something hard and then turn it into a real positive.
Right. And I think, you know what, we usually have somewhere around 50 to 70 people on the floor with us, like in that range. If you're if you want 15 minutes of super hard training, you're going to be able to partner up with somebody in that room and the two of you push each other for, and then you're going to be able to say that person's struggling. I need to spend a little time with them and help them with this area of the game that I'm really good at. Like I got this part and they don't, right? Or you could also just find two people who are not at a high level and they're just going to gut it out together for a little bit of time and figure it out together. Like it really gives the soup of people in there, gives you the opportunity to be a teacher, be a student, train hard, train easy, but just keep moving. So, in the event, sometimes we take giant jumps forward, and at other times, it's just little shuffles forward, but we keep you moving forward for 12 hours.
Yeah, man. Yeah, the number of people that have said, holy cow, this has been life changing. And I think you and I recognize that in our own trajectory. The Crucible's one example of that, but also, you and I started martial arts for various reasons, went along, we had some success along the way. You have a little success, you win a little tournament, you get a medal here, you get a medal here. That stuff starts stacking. And then you realize the truth about all of us is if you commit to something, you can do it, right? You might have to take baby steps, but this gives you the scaffolding to go, you know what? I've done this, this, and this. I struggled through this and I made some successes. And so in martial arts, I'm confident that I can put my mind to something, give it the time it needs, and succeed at it, whether that means earning a new belt or winning a medal or writing a book. But then outside that in life as well, right? Oh my gosh, this is really hard. I've got a work problem, right? I got a boss that's yelling at me, right? I'm having struggles in my relationship. Well, you can get through stuff like that because you do it in the laboratory, right, of the dojo on a daily basis or in the crucible for a 12-hour event. And it's a safe, it's scary as hell, right? Oh shit, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna get punched in the face, thrown on the floor, choked out. Oh my God. It's also a safe space because it's a laboratory because you're going through all of that in this supportive environment. It's kind of amazing. It's like magic.
It also gets super addictive. That's one thing people don't realize is that you do an event like that, and then your brain is like, okay, I've hit a new normal. So what's the next fucking thing I'm gonna do? Like you and I
Hmm.
have gotten like ridiculous now where it's like, well, I'm 50, I'm gonna fight any 50 people from around the world for, and people are like, you're freaking crazy. And I'm like, no, I'm just looking for a new uncomfortable, a new job. Oh, what are you gonna do this year? Well, for our vacation, we're gonna go up 12,000 feet the side of a mountain with no electricity, no running. We're gonna filter all our own water. We're gonna pack our food.
Right?
That's crazy. No, it's gonna be so much fun. Like, get addicted to this shit too.
Yep, yep. It just gives you a juice of in life, right? Just man, it's tempting to sit on the couch and eat the same old food, but when you go out and do something, get you out of your comfort zone, everything is just richer. And the Crucible is a great example of being able to do that in a very relatively safe and relatively supported manner.
One thought I've always had at the end of the Crucible was for that 12-hour period with those 60 people. Because, you know, sometimes you'll look at the moon and you'll say, I wonder how many humans are looking at the moon right now. I will think about that. Where on the face of the earth did 60 humans at this time today, what percentage did that amount of shit together
Mhm.
that hard?
Mhm.
It's gonna be a really fucking thin slice of of humanity doing anything like that at that time. You're in a
Sure.
very elite group of people at that moment.
Love it. Absolutely love it. All right. Yeah, I agree with that. And you know, it's like a Tough Mudder. Um, it's like other events on the planet. You know, it's like, you know, 4 day long, you know, immersion, personal development seminars. But if you're inclined to be served well by physical activity, right? Like a lot of us are, right? It's hard to sit in front of a computer or a notebook for 12 hours, but to be able to do this stuff and learn while you're moving, and that just, man, it goes right in. All right, so we're basically at the end of our time together, so I want to make sure that will you thank our crew, please, and then any wrap-up
Yes.
thoughts?
Only wrap up thoughts are the same ones. Help us out if you can, please. Like, hit subscribe. Check out our website too. If you're wondering what other episodes, like all the episodes are up. So you can like and comment on the old episodes too, which also helps us. A lot of people play our podcast while they're doing things in their dojo. Like Kyoshi Capsule said, while he's doing his book work, which he hates to do for his dojo, he listens to our podcast. You could do it while you're cleaning, you could drive in your car, but just always give us a little like or promote it a little bit if you can, because we do this for free. But the other people who do it for free with us is the people behind the scenes who are booking things, editing things, uploading things, marketing things. And those people are people like Robert Shlumsky, Andrei Sedyshev, Alden Adair, Sydney Dauphin, Justin Shea, Mike Russell, Josh Kitchens, Daniel Holland III, Jesse Ville Vito, Christiana Landolt, and like I said the last time, the person who works in this building, if you're seeing us on the social network, she's doing a lot of it, and we're appreciative. That's Emily Ruth Driscoll. So thanks, everybody.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you. We'll see you on the next episode.